Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name's Elisha, and on this channel, we talk about self-investing for women 40 plus. That means investing in our finances, investing in our health, and investing in our relationships. So, after a 25 plus year career in healthcare, I have become a full-time trader. I trade stock options and also now trade futures. So, I just added futures into my trading repertoire in 2024. And what I've decided to focus my content on this year around finances is primarily trading. I absolutely love trading. I started investing when I was in my 20s. I'm 50 now. And I learned a lot over the years. And then eventually I started trading stock options. And then I learned about the futures market and I was like totally, enthralled by that. And so I started learning that last year. This year, I want to focus my content on beginner traders and how I could potentially help you avoid some pitfalls. One of the pitfalls I want to talk about today is not using high quality data, right? So a lot of traders join communities, and I think it's a wonderful idea, not just because I've hosted my own community, but because I belong to a bunch of different communities. I belong to a group of seasoned traders, and we came together after being a part of another program for elite traders. And so we trade together. We don't always trade the same things, but we're able to communicate with each other and talk through trades and different things, ideas and things like that. But I'm also a part of another community that I joined so I could really learn how to trade futures. And I really love the community. This community now gives me the opportunity to really be around younger traders. And these younger traders, I noticed certain patterns, but I've noticed patterns like that in other groups. And these are the things I want to talk about today. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is using high quality data. So, what I see happen with certain groups or within certain groups is one trader who does make money, or yeah, most of the time it's the trader that makes money, right? Because that's what makes you popular in the group, right? Either you post a lot or you're making money and you're posting these trades. That person becomes like God to some of the people, right? And everything this person says, they're like hanging on for dear life. And some of the stuff I'm paying attention to, and I'm like, that's good information right there. And then other things, I'm like, that's totally incorrect. That is totally incorrect. It's totally made up. And then I see some of the other members just latch on. And so one of the things they latched on to was, so this is why I used the thumbnail I used, is this chart here. And so basically the conversation was something around, it was now that Biden is out, Trump is in, and that means that the market is going to do. Listen, we hope that the market will do, right? We don't really know, right? We have historical information to tell us something. So let's use some of that information. Like, okay, how did the markets react to this person before? And what was the context? Like, what was going on geopolitically, with the economy, all of that? That gives context. But I'm not one to just think like, oh, this person is in, so that means the stock market will, right? And we know from data that presidents actually don't affect the stock market. Now, a president coming in can give a certain sentiment, right? And the policies that they are able to get, pushed through can definitely affect the economy, right? But they primarily don't affect markets. I know that, one president talks about how much he does affects markets. So I wonder, will he do the same for Biden? If Trump talks all the time about how much he moved the market, will you give Biden the credit? Will any of you give Biden that credit? Because let's look at data. Look at the chart here. What do you see? When Biden came into office in January of 2021, I remember because I was trading and I was active in markets and I was paying attention and I listened to what people said. And this is why I don't pay attention too much to what people said. But everybody said, oh, it's going to fall off a cliff. The market's going to fall off a cliff. Well, guess what? It didn't fall off a cliff. In fact, it went up. The market went up once he came into office. However, because all the residual stuff, from the pandemic came into play and inflation, went up. I think we went as high as 9%. And that's what you see in this area of the chart. And so I just wonder, will you give him credit for that? Will Trump give Biden credit for that? Because this is what the market did. Okay. This is what the market did. Now, this is what he's been handed. And let's just zoom in a little bit more because let's look at when we knew that Trump would become president. This is what the market did. This is what it did from this period to this period. And here's what it has done so far. I'm not under the illusions that presidents truly affect markets, but I do understand that, they can have an effect, right? So, listen, that's one of the things is, just consider like when people say certain things, just go look at a chart. Like when people ask, well, what happened with NFP? Non-farm payrolls, right? Very big economic data point, right? When that comes out, you want to pay attention, especially if you're a trader in the market. And so I saw in the group somebody said, well, what happened over the last, couple of NFPs? And I'm thinking like, open a chart, just look for yourself. So as a new beginner, you aren't expected to know everything. Don't worry about that. That will come over time, but do not get into the habit of just following people. Now, looking at this chart again, this was so funny to me because this one trader I was in another group with, now this is a grown man. I'm going to put him past his 50s, really past his 50s. But anyway, and he's a very good analyst. He really is a thorough analyst with, he gets fundamentals and stuff like that. His technical analysis is very good. But this is where your own bias gets in your way, or you're thinking and also spending a lot of time around people like you that think like you. It's a problem. But anyway, so we were sitting here in late 23, 24. I forget exactly when, but I know that the markets were headed up and inflation was headed down. And he kept talking about how he was not taking any trades because he was worried about a recession. Make that make sense. So that's, I think, a huge pitfall for a lot of traders. And this guy had a lot of experience, traders in general. But as a beginner, sometimes you come in and you latch on to that. Don't latch on to that. So that's one of the biggest things that I think you want to pay attention to, aside from risk management. Risk management is super, super important, and we'll talk about that in the in another episode. But this is what I wanted to leave you with. Hopefully, this was helpful. If you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.